We're joined by political analyst Professor Lesiba Tefo. He's joining us from our Pretoria studios. Prof, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Greetings to you, Flo, and the listeners.
I mean, on the surface, one would have thought that Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is just, the right person to intervene with, hostile dwellers and foreign nationals. From where you sat, what went wrong there?
I think he is indeed among those who can intervene and make a difference. But the reason why he failed today and others would still fail is because on the ground people say, you are not speaking to us, you are speaking to foreign interests, you are speaking to a gallery that has no bearing on us. It's about time the people on the ground are listened to. It's about time the people on the ground are brought to table to map out this. Remember, we are in a situation that has been with us for a long time, and to a large extent, predictable. There is literature already in the past 10, 15 years that predicted that we would be here. As long as our borders are as porous as they are, and our leadership is as disingenuous as it is, and indeed, the African Union, rather than to help South Africa deal with the matter, is itself wanting to blame South Africa. I'm still to hear somebody blame the natives who are drowning every day in the Mediterranean Sea, trying to reach the source of Europe. What is the source of migration, and how can we stem it? And as long as the AU is quiet, and as long as the leadership of Africa is as poor as it is, people will have reason to leave their home countries in search of greener pasture.
And now, Prof, what message exactly was Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi meant to, or should have, delivered today? I mean, I'm looking at parts of his speech in front of me. I mean, he said, he addressed the fact that he understands the complaints. He said he understands the anger. He said, I understand that there is validity to the complaints on both sides. I also understand the wrongs that have been committed by both sides. This has not come out of nowhere. It seems like he was rather fair in his address today. Is it not surprising that some of those crowds, actually, some of the people that were there sort of walked away? Would they rather have heard you're right to have been violent? What exactly should the former IFP leader have said today on that podium?
You see, look, people already know what you are going to say, and they've heard it many a times before. And their situation is getting worse by the day, right? I think if Ndate Buthelezi, my president, Ramaphosa, were to come up with an action plan that speaks to how to deal with the porous borders of South Africa, with the corruption at the borders, with the undocumented migrants, right? A program that speaks to that. If you were speaking that language, I suspect people could listen. But to rehash what they already know, I'm sorry, it won't take us anywhere. Flo, with all the goodwill in the world, South Africa's shoulders are not strong enough to carry the whole continent.
Now,
all the goodwill in the world.
Yeah.
It's about time the AU helps South Africa to contend with the challenge of migration as it is.
And now, it's of course quite unbelievable, I suppose, that, Mangosuthu received this kind of reaction. But really, what picture does it paint about, the problems that the country is facing and the patience of the people in terms of resolving those problems? I mean, one can take it a step further and say that, xenophobia has perhaps reached a boiling point. And I know some people are uncomfortable with the term xenophobia even being used. From where you're standing, is it indeed xenophobia? And how do we turn back from the situation that we're finding ourselves in?
You see, we can talk in platitudes. It doesn't take us anywhere, right? This discussion we have had about 10, 15 years ago is how to change the discourse in real terms, that the people, when you call them, they will come and listen to you when you put programs of action. When you talk about people not investing, they say they would rather not have investment. When you say people will walk away, they would say they would rather walk away because our Lord is not improving. You know, we are signatories to a number of protocols and agreements, including the protection of immigrants. But what the people on the ground are saying is that South Africa has failed to protect the porous borders. Otherwise, we wouldn't be where we are. That there is corruption at the borders, that there are undocumented migrants in here, that there is a problem of drugs trafficking perceived to be perpetuated by foreigners, right? That's what the people on the ground are saying. And then they say, wow, at least one man, a taxi driver, took it upon himself to help change the drug situation in Pretoria, and he lost his life. And that ignited this. And I've not heard a single leader speaking about that man or even thinking to pay homage to that family of that man. And that's what makes the people more angry on the ground. The platitudes, the politics, the verbiage won't change. And I think it was a sad day indeed for Umntwana Kapindingele that the Zulus, his own people, could turn against him as they did. And for me, that's a poignant moment. For me, the president must look at that and say something has given in, and he must step up now and ensure that he takes leadership.
All right, just to address our viewers then, there are some developments in the Joburg city centre at the moment. We're keeping an eye on it. And of course, we'll bring you visuals of what exactly it is that's happening there, where there are those live visuals there in front of you. And of course, you can see there is some activity there. We'll cross to our reporter there in a short while. But for now, though, I'm going to keep the professor, though, on the line. I mean, Prof Tefo, you talk about the fact that, you know, those porous borders, we failed to address them from the onset, from the beginning. So let's go back then. What exactly should have been done at that point? I mean, we are reaching a point now where really this situation has been boiling under, it seems, from what you're saying. So from this point, how do we address what should have been done a while ago? What do you expect the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, to now do going forward as this situation is obviously now, has it become bigger than what we can actually handle?
Yes, you see, I like that line of thinking that says it's much bigger than the South African nation as a nation, because South Africa's resources are finite. The land space is limited, and Africa, especially the AU, must help South Africa. I understand and I appreciate why people are attracted to South Africa. I do, I really do, and I sympathize with them. But it is because of poor political governance that people are leaving their own in search of greener pastures, even risky drowning in the Mediterranean. Now, in South Africa, going forward, I still believe an urgent call is being made by the people on the ground. Have a program of action that will address the porous borders. Before you deal with those inside, secure the borders so that when you say, now I'm ready to take the people out, right? Those who don't qualify to be here, you are assured that they won't come back. But for as long as they go out, the following morning they are back, then you are making the whole system a mockery. And indeed, sometimes even South Africans are being mocked for the poor management of the borders, and even the migration system.
All right, Prof, I'm going to ask you to stay put there in our Pretoria studios while we cross over to the Joburg city centre, where our reporter Matlako Komani is on standby. There are some developments, as I earlier indicated there. Good afternoon, Matlako. You were earlier in a church, and now you're in, I believe, some sort of situation there in the city centre. Matlako, what's going on? Give us an update.
Yes, indeed. We were at the Johannesburg Central Methodist Church praying for the attack on foreign nationals, as well as the gender-based violence, all that has been happening in South Africa this past week. And as we were there, we got phone calls, we got wind of the fact that there were people that were here. We are on Corner Twist and Plain Streets in the CBD. It is the street leading up. I'm just going to step out of shot. It is the streets leading up to the Noord taxi rank, as well as the Wanderers taxi ranks. Just a few streets away, there's a prayer session going on. And I'm going to ask my camera person, Knox, to just show you at the back. You'd see the police there at the back, ready with their rubber bullets, ready to control the situation. But it would seem that if you would also see on the sides that foreign nationals are they're packing up, they're closing their shops. We understand that up the road as well there has been a stabbing. We are going to confirm that with police as soon as we can get that, to just try and establish what happened here. We now understand that these nationals also made the looters here were making their way from the Mamboneng side of the city. Seemingly they were there to be addressed, but we are going to establish exactly where this crowd comes from and who the crowd is. For now, we are seeing definitely that people are packing up, they're closing shop just to ensure that they are safe. We also see police as well. We're not really 100% sure where exactly this crowd has made their ways. We've also been hearing ambulance sirens from ambulances as well. As I earlier indicated, that there seems to be somebody that is stabbed, but we are waiting for police to come and give us the official word as to exactly what is it that is going on.
All right, thank you very much, Matlako. Please do stay safe. She's, of course, in the Joburg city centre. We were just giving you some of what's happening there, those developments that are happening. We will come back to you shortly, and if you can, please do find out for us if indeed there have been, there has been that stabbing. Please give us confirmation about that. Of course, we'll await more information and more details from you there. Let's go back then to Pretoria, where Professor Lesiba Tefo is still standing by for us. I don't know if you saw some of those visuals coming from the Joburg city centre, where it seems that there is some sort of chaos that's about to happen. We're hearing that somebody might have been stabbed. I mean, from where you're sitting, sir, do you think that, where we are now, things will, get worse from where we are, or at some point sort of, get better?
You see, for me, this is a national emergency, and it needs sober political leadership. That when Mashaba speaks, listen to what he says and don't politicize it, and help find a solution. That when Dr. Motsoaledi says 70% of the children born during December period in Limpopo were of people from across Limpopo, listen to those and say, why are the people on the ground at least pointing out the origin of those? What is the effect and the impact of it on service delivery? That's a message that the people are trying to convey. And I'm saying, as much as I understand and I appreciate their plight, surely South Africa's shoulders are not big enough to carry the whole continent. The AU must step in to help South Africa to deal with this program. And my leaders as well must stop politicizing the issue and try to work together. This is a national emergency because it can get worse if they continue to politic. I'm reading today in the newspapers that there is a suspicion that a certain faction of the ANC is also fanning these flames in order to undermine President Ramaphosa's leadership. Surely they can't just fabricate this. And if amongst ourselves we fight to that extent, then there is little hope for the beloved country.
Prof, it's interesting that you talk about Herman Mashaba. You say, when our leaders speak, and it's interesting that you used Herman Mashaba, that we must listen. But a lot of people have criticized Herman Mashaba as being someone who sort of aggravated somewhat some of this sort of xenophobic talk. Is he the the person correctly placed, really, to address some of these issues? I mean, we saw now almost, one could say a dismal failure by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to try and help quell that violence, and to bring in someone like Mashaba, who's historically been known to say some very strange things about foreign nationals. Would he be the best person to come and talk?
But I would encourage the political leadership to come together and to listen to each other and stop point scoring.
Yeah.
If you look at today's papers, they are also pointing fingers at some of the ANC members that they are failing this in order to undermine their own president. Right? It's too cheap to point to zero in on Mashaba and even forget about exactly what he's saying. Incidentally, what Mashaba is saying is documented, is written, has been there in the past 10, 15 years. There is nothing new that Mashaba is saying. But if you want to play politics, then you can do that and even blame the man rather than to look at exactly what is being said. There are challenges in South Africa. There is an emergency. Let the political at least take the lead. But it is not enough for South Africa alone. I hear that President Buhari is coming here. I'm saying perhaps he's coming to a wrong place and he's sending a wrong message. Let him call President Ramaphosa. They must go to the AU and as a collective say, surely, we have got more nationals in South Africa and South Africa's resources are finite and even her space is limited. How can we help?
All right, Prof, thank you very much for that, Professor Lesiba Tefo speaking to us there. And of course, you see from those visuals that SABC is showing you there, and of course with our reporter there, Matlako Komani, about the fresh unrest currently in Johannesburg. We are going to get some more updates and just to find out exactly what's happening there.